To know one thing or two. There have been endemic issues in the sugar sector. One, people would mill, sell the sugar, not pay the farmers. Because not many people, sugar is as big as cocaine when it comes to commodities. The problem with the Western leaders is the privatization of the sugar belt, of the factories. Now, Ruto went to Western and he said, niko na shida na mwindi mmoja hapa. Anaitwa with that Kalasinga guy, I'm forgetting his name. But he's Rai. I have a problem. Nasikia kuna Kalasinga mmoja hapa amefanya hivi. Rai has been one of the biggest guys involved. His name is synonymous with sugar. Ruto said, we are going to privatize the sugar. We are going to do it the way the farmers want. And Rai is not the person because Rai is corrupt and I don't agree with his ways. What does Ruto go ahead and do? He gives, I think it was Zoya, I'm not sure which sugar factory. It was taken over by Rai's brother who lives in Uganda. And he's the second largest sugar miller in Uganda. What does he do to the other factory in Kenya? I don't know how they quash their beef with, how he quashes his beef with Rai. All of a sudden now Rai becomes a very good person. And Rai is given the other factory in Kenya. Okay, I think he was given Mumias. Farmers asked a question.
Yeah, let me no.
Farmers asked a question.
Let me reply before I go off. Now, on the Rai issue, the reason Rai had gone to court, they had beef with Mumias. He had gone to court and had stopped basically the operations of Rai. So the only issue was you go to court and you argue it out, and it'll take time. Because we know how
let me give you the court story. Now let me give you the court story.
Let me just finish, then you can come in. Let me finish up. So he was told to withdraw the cases. He didn't. So that's when Ruto came up with the 3 Mambo Matatu. Rai acquiesced, and then he was taken out. Now, whether he's corrupt or he's not, the mere fact is Rai knows sugar. He has a private miller. I think Western Kenya. I mean, is it West Valley or something? I'm not sure exactly. But he has a private miller. West Kenya, exactly. West Kenya. They pay their farmers.
So that we also have time.
Western Kenya, they pay their farmers. They pay their farmers on a weekly basis. They pay their workers on a monthly basis. So in actual sense, his outfit. No. Can I finish up?
Because your facts are not
is doing proper.
No, there were
his
issues.
Outfit is doing proper.
No. Now let me give you. No.
If he knows what he's doing on a private, on his private property, then why can't you outsource his resources to the government ones? And no, it's not private. Privatism per se. He just lists them.
When we went the right way, let me tell you the reasons there were court cases. One, sugar has something called zoning. West Kenya was poaching sugar from zones that it should not. That's one reason they were in court. Reason number 2, when the person who started the privatization act of sugar was not even Ruto, it was Kenyatta. So there was a company from this country just down here in Africa. I'm forgetting its name, but their president used to be a DJ. Mauritius. There were investors from Mauritius who had come to Kenya and gave a very concrete proposal of how to revive Mumias, which included to how they will sell molasses candle and how they will be able to make power, electrical power from Mumias. Okay? But even during Uhuru's time, Rai felt that no, before you bring in an outsider, me being an insider, I should be able to be given a chance. So what did Rai do? It's very common in litigation. You go to court not because you know you have a solid case. You go to court because you want to drag it out until the other bidders go out. The people in Western actually preferred the Mauritius investors. His rates for sugarcane were better, and his deal for the modernization of the factory was better. So once the other people were out, Rai was left with the court cases. And if you follow that case very well, they said, let us liquidate. And two other Indians came in who say, from their point of view, they don't see the viability of Mumias and they wanted to sell it off as scrap metal. Okay? Now, Ruto comes in and says, there's one person with court cases here who is stalling this process. And the farmers told Ruto, and this was even led by Boni Akinaboni Kalwale, there's no way one person can own West Kenya, then you give him Mumia sugar, okay? Where are we? How do you caution us in terms of safety? Because if he becomes the major purchaser of cane, it means he can determine the prices of cane. The reason we have these different millers is to make sure there's a healthy competition. That's number one. Number two, poaching, when we argue about poaching of sugarcane, it makes sure that the farmers in each zone can sell their maize exhaustively while making the factory there viable. So when Nani comes in, this guy from West Kenya, remember, his brother is controlling one of the major factories. Now him is controlling the other factory. What was the common thing here, and why do people like Nani have issues? Natembea. Natembea has an issue with one thing. There seems to be some business interest between the Rai group and William Ruto. Do you know who else is putting up a factory in Western Kenya? It is his best friend, who is called, this guy who is building economic zone in Rift Valley. His son had a wedding on Saturday. His name is, I'm forgetting his name.
Lagat.
Yes, Lagat is building a factory in West Kenya. Do you know that? So the only reason you're seeing Natembeya having an issue is because he's telling his people, if you do not open your eyes, the entire sugar belt in Western Kenya will be controlled by one person called William Samoei Ruto. People don't have an issue with the privatization. They have an issue. No, Karwe. They have an issue with hoja hapa si ya haraka. Hoja ni procedure. That's the reason that shida anatembea na Eugene ni procedure. The procedure was not followed. And when the procedure is not followed, at the end of the day, sugarcane prices will plummet. And the farmer will be selling his sugar cheaply, but the miller and the shareholders, the private shareholders, will make money. Let me land by giving a comparison. Ruto came with the issue that he wanted to privatize Mwea rice millers, which is owned by farmers in Mwea. Do you know what the farmers told him? They told him, before you come here and privatize this, our mill, tell us how much you want. We will kusanya that money and pay you. That is the same thing people in Western were saying. Give us a chance as shareholders to do our AGM, to come together. If we can raise or increase our stake, the better. But all that was said, no. You are going to privatize the entire sugar belt. You will deal with the near shareholders. Why didn't he pull off the same thing in Moya? Now, Ruto came in here in one of our factories, in one of our biggest factories here, 14. There were issues, yes. The same way we have issues with sugar. He came and said, why can't you privatize your factory? What did the farmer tell him? How much do you want? We built this factory the same way we built our dairy mills here. 50 shillings, 100 shillings, people coming together and we raise money. Ruto was asked, the PS was told, the minister was told, tell us what you want, we will buy government out. And then we shall be left as farmers to deal with our issues as tea farmers. So let me tell you something, Karwe. Kenyans is not short of brilliance. It is how farm people stand. If the people of Western stood firm and say, what is the stake of government in our mill? 8 billion. How many farmers are here? X. How much do we need to raise? Y. Give us a duration, we will raise that money and pay you. Meanwhile, can our factory be operational? Even if it is not at full optimal, we want it operational at quarter. So when you tell me that what Ruto is doing is brilliant sometimes, Karoe, like I listen to your facts, but sometimes they don't make sense to me. Like I like your facts. But you see, when you say that we are borrowing in dollars, I agree. When you say about the dollar being stable, I agree. When you say that when Ruto took over, the dollar was at an abnormal rate, I agree. Why was it abnormal? Because all our loans were coming to be due. And the reason our forex reserves went down is because we took money from our forex reserves and paid part of the loan, which was interest. not the basic loan. So Ruto came in and said, in fact, one of his trips was to Dubai. And he borrowed a loan, a commercial loan that was expensive. But when those dollars came in, Ruto could not, first of all, disburse the dollars into the economy. Because if he was in a catch-22, I either cushion the economy by increasing our forex reserves in central bank so that there's a dollar flow within the banks. Because banks don't print dollars. They borrow dollars from central bank. Okay? During that time, Karo, if you go back, what did the National Banking Association say? That we have an issue with our dollars in the bank. Can we get away of cushioning the dollars? And the president said, it is true our forex reserves have fallen below what is acceptable in the economy. We borrowed, I think it was 9.4 billion from Dubai. Ruto went to China, and those are the days Ruto used to travel every day. So when you borrow money, it has to be against a project. You can't just say, I want to cushion my dollars. Okay? When you borrow money against the project, you tell those people, because who's paying the loan? It is not the road, it is not the dam, it is the Kenyan taxpayers. So Ruto borrowed dollars, and that is when the Dinyoro said, one of the proposals that was there is that we can borrow money and use security of what we call is the petroleum levy. Okay? Why? Because when you borrow money, you give guarantees on what I am sure we can collect money on. So when Ruto borrowed money, where does that money go? It does not go to his personal account. It goes to the Central Bank of Kenya. When the dollars are in the Central Bank of Kenya, now banks are told, come and borrow dollars from us, so that now you give people who want to do exports. Because once you stop in goods from coming into Kenya, that's when inflation comes in. Because it means commodities are not coming in, because you cannot buy, for instance, rice from Pakistan using Kenya shillings. So Ruto will go and say, I'm borrowing to build a road. And Kenyans are asking, where is that road? I have borrowed to build a dam. Kenyans are asking, where is that dam? He will say, I have borrowed money, I've taken money for your housing. People are asking, where are those houses? But Ruto has to convert all that money and stabilize our dollar first. So when I tell you Ruto is cushioning the dollar, if you want to, whether we argue from until the cows come, that's the reason we are borrowing a lot, but the development that is happening is slow, because you have to really monitor the outflow of the dollars into the economy. And that is why Ruto is saying, whether we want it or not, I must raise taxes. Because I need to raise taxes to go and also hinge the dollars to increase my forex reserves. So when Ruto borrows the housing levy, what does he do? It takes that money against the law and puts that money into a bond. Kenyans are saying, we did not give you our money for you to go and put it, I don't know, in SSSF or to go and do whatever. No, we gave you money to build houses. Ruto cannot build houses, my good friends. Ruto has to push on the economy first. So I'll take money from you by force. Now, that is where Kenyans have a problem. We have this problem with you taking money from us by force. Tell us, Mr. My Kenyan people and my Kenyan women, we have a problem with our dollar inflows, and we have a problem with our recurrent expenditures, and we have a problem with our ability to pay the loan. Now, all this money I'm collecting, if I don't pay these loans, commercial loans, our economy will tank. And the only reason we moved 2 places in terms of one of the best economies in Africa, we surpassed, I think, Malawi and Ethiopia, is because Ethiopia did not do or did not take the tough decisions that Ruto took.
Anthony.
Yes, keep it.
From listening to you seem to be praising Ruto more than anything. Are you, which side are you on?
No, I'm not praising him. I understand his predicament as a Kenyan. To be very honest, I understand his predicament. The only issue I have with Ruto is almost like he's fearing to tell Kenyans the hard truth. So he's building the expectations of Kenya. And what you are seeing right now in Kenya,
with him is communication strategy.
To be very honest, yes, because you're giving people hope that And once
Okay.
you build this
Hold
wall,
on.
you mess the entire country.
Hold on, Andrew. I'm trying to close this up, and I see Osoro has not said a word. Osoro, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, what I think Anton is trying to, whatever he's saying, some of it could be backed by numbers and backed by facts. But some of it is also, in a sense, conjecture. In any case, I notice his approach is one that is logical, one that tries to be empirical, one that, there's, you can put something in whatever it is that he's doing. The problem is, politics does not work like that. Even Ruto understands that politics doesn't work like that, which is why he cannot come and tell you, we need to keep our house in order. This money of housing levy, I'm going to put it on the T-bills. And by the way, the money in NSSF, that money we're using it to